Welcome to How to Study and Ace Examinations, presented by Robert Klah, curated from my three-part book, What the Schools Fail to Teach About Education, proudly brought to you by Strap, in association with the Rotary Club of Accra Industrial and the United Nations Youth Association of Ghana. Previously in this course, we looked at study technique, that is effective ways of learning with comprehension. Speed reading, that is how to read more materials in less time with comprehension. In this session, we are going to learn how to commit things to memory, techniques for committing different study materials to memory. Session 3, how to commit things to memory. Hello. So, ability to recall is probably one of the greatest things you need when it comes to student life, because if your mind goes blank in examination hall, then that's it. Nothing matters anymore because you're going to fail. If you cannot recall the things you've learned, there is no way you're going to pass. All right. Some people have photographic memories and able to recall stuff, but some just don't have it. But the good news is there are techniques that you can employ that can help you to be able to commit certain things to memory. All right. Now, I present to you the RUF model, the RUF model of memorization. It is RUPF. I developed this model so we can use to memorize things from different aspects of our study areas. So we have recitals, understanding, practice, and familiarization. These are the letters that the RUF model represents. It's an acronym, as you can see. So let's get into it. Let's see how the RUF model of memorization works. If you're ready to learn, I'm ready to teach. Let's go. Recitation. That is the first word of the RUF model. All right. Now, there are several things like definitions, passages, names, dates of events, facts, history, etc. that in education we will need to memorize. All right. These things we need to memorize. And one of the best ways we can use to be able to put this particular kind of information into memory is to chew. Locally, we call them what? Chew. In other words, it means to recite. All right, to recite it until it sticks. And that is the reason why we have the name recitation. So, for example, 2 times table. Learned this way back when I was young, when I was like, I don't know, very young. But I still know it, and I still remember how it goes, like 212, 224, 236, 248, 2510. So I still have it in mind because of the constant recitals that we did when we were young. So recitals is one of the best ways to be able to commit things to memory. Also, I remember that when I was in JHS, in the very first class, I think, first year, there was a science subject we were studying, and I needed to memorize a few definitions. There were quite a lot, and the best way to be able to go around this was what? Recitals. So it was like this. Energy is the ability to do work is said to be done when a force causes an object to move. Force is that which causes a change in a body state of rest or uniform motion. The law of conservation of energy states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can merely be transferred from one party to the next. And it continues and it continues and it continues. Simply meaning that recitations or any forms of recital can help us to be able to keep things in memory for a long time. And that is what you need to employ if you want to be able to keep certain things like definitions, passages, names, dates, etc. in mind. All right. I still remember 30 days has September, April, June, and if you can actually be a bit creative, make it sound like a poem, make it sound like, music. So 30 days has September, April, June, and November. I still use it up till date just to be able to figure out the days of a month, and it works. So basically all we're saying is there are things you need to commit to memory, no long terms. Just try hard and use the recital method, and it's going to take you places. Understanding. Recitals may be able to give us definitions and the memorization of dates and names, etc. But there are certain things that it wouldn't work. So these things, you need to apply other methods. One of such is applied knowledge. When you require more than memorization, but to be able to add reasoning to the things we've learned, then it is not enough to recite the things or chew, so to say, just to try to recall stuff, because at the end of the day, you will fail. It will just not work. You need to be able to look for what is called understanding. Yep. Try to understand whatever it is so that you are in a position to be able to bring out information or be able to give answers required. Without understanding in these specific areas, you will fail. You will not be able to recall. All right. So in mathematics, for example, you cannot say that you are memorizing the calculations. It's not going to work. The only thing you can actually memorize is a formula. But beyond that, you have to apply the formula. So when it comes to inequalities, when it comes to quadratic equations, simultaneous equations, you need to understand them. You need to understand the rules and be able to apply. Sometimes you are asked to even show working. All right. Showing working simply means explaining to the examiner your understanding or how you actually arrived at the decisions you've taken or how you arrived at your answers. And if you don't understand the process and the procedures, there's no way you are going to ace. You are always going to fail. When it comes to English composition, it's also the same, all right? It's applied knowledge. You have to be able to apply everything you've learned about grammar, everything you got from comprehension, idiomatic expressions, everything, put them all into place just to be able to write an essay that is pleasing, of course, to the ears when you read, to be able to get the kind of grades you're looking for. So all I'm saying is there are certain things that recitals wouldn't work, but you need to be able to look for understanding, seek to understand, and then you will be in a position to be able to recall. Without understanding, there's no way it's going to work. Practicals. So when it comes to practical oriented subjects, the best way to commit them to memory and be able to recall them when best needed is to put them into practice. That's what it is. I mean, there is no other way. Now think about it. Technical drawing. How can you ace technical drawing without practicing the real drawing? How can you ace oral French without speaking? Map work in geography or drawing in visual art. It is not possible to be able to ace them without the actual practice, all right? How about IT? There is no way you can learn IT without actually putting it into practice. You need to be hands-on. You need to be able to learn. Without that, it's almost impossible. I mean, think about chemistry, somebody being a chemist or a surgeon, or all of these elements basically says one thing. When subjects are practical oriented, the best way to be able to learn about them and keep them in memory and be able to recall is by actually practicing it. Because when you practice, you gain your own personal experience, which stays with you forever. Because the things we experience, we never forget. And that is why you need to practice practical oriented subjects. You need the practicals. That's the only way out. Familiarization. The way the mind works, it works in such a way that the things that you're familiar with, you are able to recall instantly and easily. Things that you're not familiar with, you cannot recall. I mean, that's normal. And that is why somebody may not necessarily be a footballer, but because a person is interested in football, the person will be in a position to be able to recall things about it. If you ask the person any question, the person can give you answers. The same for basketball or other things. And so if we are going to apply this rule, what it means is that it is not enough to read your books once. You have to read twice, 3 times, 4 times more. You have to familiarize yourself. In fact, you have to bury your head so deep in your books such that when you speak your lingo, we can literally hear content from your books being a part of your speech. Then we know that you are very familiar with the content of your book. That's what it is. So if it means discussing it, go ahead and have the discussion. If it means testing yourself, go ahead and test yourself. If it means reviewing performances, go ahead and do it. Anything you can do just to become an expert or a master over your document, so familiar with it, do it, because it is when you're familiar with stuff that it's easy for you to be able to recall the contents thereof. Don't go without familiarization. It is important. So to recap the rough model, in conclusion, you have the information, but it will do you no good if you do not put it to use. So do yourself a favor, put it to practice. Jolali. Thank you for participating in the course How to Study an ACE Examinations, presented by Klah, curated from my 3-part book, What the Schools Fail to Teach About Education. Proudly brought to you by Strap, in association with the Rotary Club of Accra Industrial and the United Nations Youth Association of Ghana.